Ancient Namib Desert. A mysterious world where hunger and thirst are the driving force of evolution. Hardy mutants, small and large, have adapted to this barren land. Towering structures shelter the smallest inhabitants, which dominate desert life. Ghostly mists roll in over the dunes, hiding a mystery centuries old. What are these puzzling circles in the sands of the arid Namib? The coastal Namib Desert, the oldest desert in the world. Less than 20 millimeters of rain falls here in a year. The days are scorching. The nights freezing. This arid landscape in the southwest of Africa stretches up to 160 kilometers inland from the infamous Skeleton Coast. In this alien world, there are different habitats, all of them dry and hostile. Vast inland plains and marginal grasslands give way to completely barren dunes near the coast. To survive here, you have to be tough and inventive. Like this Namakwa chameleon, the only dune-dwelling chameleon in the world. Unlike its forest-dwelling cousins, it doesn't sneak up on its prey. It runs. The Namakwa is the sprinter of the chameleon world. It dashes at 5 kilometers an hour to catch its favorite prey. Fast-moving darkling beetles. Like all chameleons, it uses its long tongue to catch them. And rarely misses. This chameleon gobbles 100 juicy beetles a day just to get enough moisture to survive. Many small animals scratch out an existence in these dunes. This is Peringe's adder, a venomous snake, which reaches a length of just 30 centimeters. It's an ambush predator. It shimmies into the sand and lays in wait for an unsuspecting lizard to come too close. Strangely, this bleak landscape is also home to many large animals with thirsts to match. Ostriches, giraffes, and herds of oryx skirt the dunes, feeding on the sparse grasses, often their only source of moisture. Oryx don't waste water producing sweat. Instead, they let their body temperatures rocket to 45 degrees, a temperature that would kill most other mammals. But one of the strangest mammals in this desert is a bizarre-looking animal that has a snout like a pig, long ears like a rabbit, and a tail like a kangaroo. This is very rare footage of a seldom-seen creature, the aardvark. It stays cool by spending the heat of the day in one of its underground burrows, waiting until the sun is low to go hunting. Aardvarks have poor eyesight, but a great sense of smell and acute hearing. If it detects the slightest hint of danger, the aardvark makes a dash for the safety of its nearest burrow. It will stay hidden for several hours before it dares to venture out again to look for food. Even the world's largest land animal manages to survive here. Desert elephants travel dozens of kilometers a day in the never-ending search for food and any source of moisture. They must find up to 160 liters of water a day to survive. Thirst drives them to extreme lengths. This herd is heading for the mountains. It's a perilous ascent. An elephant that loses its footing on the steep, loose rock is likely to break bones and die a slow death. The female with the twisted tusk is one of the oldest elephants in this area. She's also pregnant. So why is she taking such a massive risk? It's because the herd has spotted edible plants on the rocky mountainside. The elephants know that these comifera trees are precious reservoirs of water and energy-rich sugar. Desert elephants must make a stark choice. Risk their lives for food and water, or face death by starvation and dehydration. All life here hangs in a delicate balance, maintained, surprisingly, by the sea. The Namib is a coastal desert that owes its origin to the phenomenon of plate tectonics. The ancient supercontinent of Gondwana held Africa and South America locked together. They broke apart 120 million years ago, creating vast new coastlines. Millions of years of erosion transformed the Namibian coast into a broad, flat plain. This new land was extremely arid, but didn't become a desert until about 50 million years ago. A current of very cold water began to flow up from the icy South Atlantic. Called the Benguela Current, it cools the air at sea level. A layer of warmer air sits on top. This inversion layer prevents the moist air at sea level from rising and forming rain clouds. Millions of years of almost no rain turned much of the coastal plain into a vast desert. Beyond the barren dunes, hardy grasses cling to life on a vast expanse of flat land, creating one of the greatest mysteries of the natural world. These are Namibia's famous fairy circles. The local people say they are the footprints of the gods. On average, they are about 5 meters wide, and not a blade of grass survives inside the circle. For decades, scientists have tried to understand why. They've looked at everything from radioactivity to competition for water by the grasses. In 2013, a German scientist advanced an intriguing new solution to the mystery. Professor Norbert Jürgens from Hamburg University thinks they are the work of an animal. A tiny, inconspicuous animal that has a huge impact on the desert.
This is the sand termite, which live a very secret life that is not easy to observe.
Jürgens has found the tiny insects under the sand of the vast majority of circles he's studied.
After the work of the sand blower, just taking away 5 centimeters of sand, and only now the very fragile black tunnel system remains visible. The sand termite has embedded the roots of the grasses with their blackish tunnels, and thereby they destroy the roots, and that kills the grasses.
Namibian sand termites build complex cities below the fairy circles. From the central chamber, a network of tunnels radiates out to foraging nests, close to the grassy border of the circle. The termites eat the roots of the grasses, which die and blow away. According to Dr. Jürgens, these small barren patches gradually become large circles thanks in part to the sand's remarkable ability to hold on to water.
The bare patch of the fairy circle, there is a water trap, and the trapped water remains in the soil for very, very, very long periods of time. It's really wet.
Grasses quickly soak up even the smallest amount of rain from the ground. But inside the barren circles, the rain soaks into the sand and remains trapped. That's crucial to the survival of the sand termites, which are vulnerable to drying out. As they search for new grasses to eat, they always stay as close as possible to the moisture-rich soil inside the circle. Gradually, their foraging enlarges the original bare patch into larger and larger circles. There are 2,600 species of termite. Together, they weigh more than all the humans in the world. Termites are the key to understanding life in this desert. These are harvester termites. They feed on the stems and leaves of grasses and the dung of passing herbivores. The workers cut down sections of grass and carry them back to their nests. They can digest the tough grasses with the help of microbes in their guts. The work of termites is vital to the health of the desert. There are few soil microorganisms to break down and recycle plant matter in this arid land. In the Namib, termites perform that role. Humans hardly notice these tiny creatures, but they underpin the entire desert ecosystem. Without them, it would collapse. But not all termites can digest tough grasses. This 3-meter-tall mound belongs to a different kind of termite. Unlike the harvesters, they cannot digest the cellulose contained in plants. So, they have found an amazing evolutionary solution. Deep inside their mound is a strange, brain-like structure called a fungus garden. These are mushroom termites. They are depositing their grasses here. The fungus breaks down the cellulose into food the termites can digest. They feed the fungus, and it feeds them. Termites also underpin the desert ecosystem in a rather more direct way. They are food for a bewildering array of termite eaters. This is the bat-eared fox, the only fox in the world that specializes in eating termites. Its huge ears are a clue to how it detects its tiny prey. Sound. The bat-eared fox can actually hear the minute noises that termites make below the sand. Up to 90% of its diet is succulent harvester termites. It even gets most of the water it needs from their juicy bodies. Mutant foxes are just the beginning. In this strange place, termites are the key to the survival of all sorts of unusual animals, including one of the most mysterious, the aardvark. Unlike the bat-eared fox, it actively hunts them down. The aardvark travels 10 kilometers a day to find enough termites to eat its fill. With the sharp nails on its front legs, it rips apart an underground termite nest and devours the inhabitants. The aardvark is such an effective digger that it can excavate a meter-long tunnel in just 5 minutes. Recently, a high-tech analysis of the aardvark's claws shed light on its incredible digging ability. Dr. Hideki Indo from the University of Tokyo studies animal anatomy. He uses a CT scanner to peel back the layers of hair, muscles, and tendons. This reveals how animals function in astonishing detail. Dr. Indo used this technique to study the unusual construction of the aardvark's claws.
We can see the triangle strong bone of each finger. These fingers can crush the soil strongly, effectively.
The scan also reveals that the aardvark doesn't use all its fingers in the same way. The two inner fingers curve more deeply than the outer ones. Dr. Indo discovered that the aardvark crushes earth with its inner fingers, which it bends on the power stroke. It then sweeps the dirt away with the flatter outer fingers. That's the secret to its amazing tunneling speed.
I'm sure that the aardvark is the best soil crusher animals in the world.
Other creatures have also adapted to take advantage of the aardvark's unique digging ability. These birds are waiting for leftovers. They can't dig for termites themselves, but they've learned to wait until the aardvark does it for them. The aardvark is a primitive animal that has hardly changed its shape for millions of years. It's a member of a diverse family of unique African mammals called Afrotheria. One of the aardvark's Afrotherian cousins is also an accomplished digger that literally swims through the sand. This is Grant's golden mole. It's nocturnal as well as a burrower, so it has no use for eyes. They're covered with fur. It also hunts termites, seeking them out by their tiny vibrations. It looks just like a mole and behaves like a mole. But being an Afrotherian, it's completely unrelated. Afrotheria evolved over a period of 100 million years, while Africa was isolated from the rest of the world. The ancestor of all Afrotheria was probably a small insect-eating mammal that resembled a rat. Over millions of years, evolution morphed it into animals as different as aardvarks and elephants. It's only in the last 20 years that scientists have come to realize that these giants are close cousins of the nocturnal golden mole, and that they all descend from a single ancestor. Driven by the scarcity of food and water, evolution has taken strange twists and turns. There's even a bizarre mutant hyena here, the aardwolf. Despite their dog-like appearance, hyenas are closer relatives of cats. Aardwolves are by far the smallest of the world's 4 surviving hyena species. Scientists think that the ancestor of the hyena family first appeared about 30 million years ago in what is now Europe. About 20 million years ago, the continents joined up. Early hyenas like Protictotherium invaded Africa. These ancestral hyenas were adapted to life in the trees. It's likely that they were omnivorous and ate insects, birds, and nuts. About 10 million years ago, the aardwolf evolved into something quite different to any of its cousins. Faced with stiff competition from other carnivores, it started hunting termites in the night. To catch them, the aardwolf's tongue has become long and flat, coated in sticky saliva. Seeking them out by smell, it can lick up more than 300,000 termites in a night. The first scientists to study the Namib were surprised to discover so many animals and plants living in such an unforgiving environment. How have so many creatures adapted and evolved here? The answer lies in the Namib's great age. The Sahara has only been a desert for about 5,000 years. Before that, wet grasslands covered the area. The Namib is 50 million years old, the oldest desert in the world. That means the creatures that live here have had plenty of time to evolve and adapt to the challenges of extreme heat and drought. As the sun gradually rises, the mercury shoots up. By noon, the sand is a scorching 70 degrees. But the chameleon has one more survival trick. It climbs onto a dead tree. A thermal imaging camera reveals that the tree is 20 degrees cooler than the sand. The Namib sand diving lizard has an even more unusual way to stay cool. It dances. This bizarre performance is called a thermal dance. The lizard raises a foot in the air where it is 15 degrees cooler than the foot on the sand. Each time a foot becomes too hot, it lifts it, placing the cooler foot on the ground. Peringe's adder has adapted to life on the searing sand by wriggling sideways. This reduces the surface area of its body that touches the hot ground. It also allows it to climb the steep dunes without breaking the sand. Peringe's adder gets much of its water from the flesh of sand diving lizards. At the slightest sign of danger, the lizard dives below the sand to hide. There's an added bonus. The temperature under the surface can be 20 degrees lower. The extreme heat and lack of water has also driven the evolution of plants in strange directions. Succulents have raised desert survival to an art form. They have evolved thick leaves and stems to store water. Dr. Ute Schmiedel studies the adaptations of desert plants.
We can see that inside there are a lot of clear cells that are only there to store the water, whereas at the outside thin layer is where the photosynthesis takes place. And if we squash it, you can see how much water is stored in that leaf.
10% of the world's succulents live in this area, over 1,000 different species. Why are there so many? Scientists believe that it's because they have a short lifespan due to the harsh environment. That means many generations of succulents grow in a short time, which allows them to rapidly adapt and evolve into new species. One succulent in particular has developed an ingenious way to cope with the stresses of desert life.
Very tiny and inconspicuous plant, and you wouldn't think that it's so special.
Called a window plant, it lives half buried 5 centimeters under the ground. Growing underground prevents moisture loss through the leaves. It also protects it from grazing herbivores. But how does the plant get enough sunlight for photosynthesis? That's where the window comes in. The exposed part of the plant is semi-transparent. Light rays pass through it into the part of the plant that produces the green pigment chlorophyll for photosynthesis.
These window plants that we find here, they're very special, and it's actually a strategy that several species developed in adaptation to this type of environment.
Finding water in the desert is a never-ending battle for every form of life, small or large. There may be no rain at all during the long, hot summer. For large desert animals, the need for moisture becomes increasingly desperate. Especially for the pregnant elephant. This riverbed has long dried up. It seems the elephants are too late. But even the elephants here behave mysteriously. They sniff the ground. They can smell something below the sand. Then they dig. A short way down is their reward. What they smelled was water. The first few sandy trunkfuls make a refreshing shower. And beneath that, there is cool, clear water. The camel thorn tree provides welcome shade and food. This is a member of the legume family, like peas and beans. Its large, nutritious pods are much needed fodder. But the herd will soon move on. They must continue their nomadic life and give the trees a chance to recover. Even brown hyenas, the carnivorous cousins of the aardwolf, scratch out a living in this desert. Along with black-backed jackals. They even raise their pups in a desert that seems to offer very little for them to eat. How does the arid Namib sustain so many plants and animals? The answer lies in an unusual type of weather in a bone-dry landscape. Fog. At certain times of the year, massive fog banks sweep in from the sea. Unobstructed by mountains, the fog can travel 60 kilometers inland. Many animals have evolved innovative ways to tap into this valuable supply of water. The palmetto gecko normally spends the day beneath the sand. When the fog rolls in, it soon emerges to harvest the tiny droplets in a most ingenious way. It uses its eyes as collectors, then scoops up the precious moisture with its long tongue. Insects use a similar trick. The darkling beetle, favored by chameleons, uses its armored exoskeleton to collect water. It faces into the breeze with its body at an angle. Small drops coalesce into larger drops, until eventually the drops are heavy enough to run down its body towards its mouth. The beetle drinks about 12% of its body weight in water. The fog can deposit up to 1 liter of water per square meter. Large animals such as elephants and giraffes also take advantage of this. They can get some extra water by feeding on plants wet with valuable droplets. The fog appears for around 60 days a year. The difference between life and death for many creatures. What causes this extensive fog bank along such a dry coastline? Ironically, the cold ocean current that prevents rain clouds forming also creates the fog. Moist air from the mid-Atlantic Ocean blows over the frigid water of the Benguela Current. Water vapor in the air condenses into thick mists that blow inland. These fog days bring precious moisture to the parched landscape. The Benguela Current is also rich with fish and marine life. That attracts huge numbers of South African fur seals. Over 1 million of them make their home on the coasts of southwestern Africa. The largest fur seal colony in the world is on the bleak shores of the Namib Desert. Around December, all the female seals give birth. That's attracted the attention of a fully grown brown hyena. It has come here with one purpose in mind: to steal a seal pup for dinner. However, the adult seals weigh over 100 kilos, so a hyena must be careful. It slowly moves through the seals, waiting for a chance to pounce. A moment's inattention from the mother seal costs her pup its life. Hyenas are not the only danger facing the newborn seals. Jackals. These pack hunters rely on numbers to outwit the seals. Alert pups stay close to the adults as the marauding jackals skirt the edges of the colony. Mother seals defend their babies ferociously. A pup that strays from this protection, even for a moment, is doomed. The hungry desert-dwelling jackals are determined to succeed. But the devoted mother hasn't given up hope. Even a newborn seal is too heavy for the jackals to drag far away from her. While the jackals fight for control of their catch, she launches a daring rescue attempt. Her precious pup is injured, but alive. The attackers have already set their sights on an easier meal. The jackals, too, have hungry mouths to feed. Their breeding coincides with the once-a-year glut of fresh meat in an otherwise barren desert. The male wolfs down as much seal meat as he can to take back to his family. The youngsters are hungry, but first he feeds their mother. One of the parents always stays with the cubs, which are now almost 2 months old. They have survived their first weeks under the harsh Namibian sun. Seal pups die that jackal cubs may live. The same struggle for survival plays out on a much smaller scale, right beneath our feet. Harvester termites are laboring with a crop of grass. It is dangerous to be above the ground for a long time. They hurry back to the nest. Ants are waiting for them. Although they look similar, Termites are related to cockroaches, while ants are member of the same family as wasps. Once an ant catches a termite in its powerful jaws, it is doomed. Despite this, the worker termites risk further trips. Even inside their nest, there is no guarantee of safety. These gigantic jaws belong to a solifuge, a relative of spiders and scorpions. This fearsome creature likes to raid termite nests. It carries one termite after another out of the nest and places it on the ground, immobilized, but not yet dead. The solifuge will suck out their juices. Termites are food and water in one handy package. After a long, dry season, a little rain finally arrives. Even this small amount of water has a dramatic effect on this arid landscape. A dazzling burst of color erupts out of nowhere as bright flowers suddenly carpet the desert. Where has this magic floral carpet come from? As soon as the soil is moist enough, seeds begin to sprout. They race to bloom before the dry summer season sets in, flowering in the space of 1 month. Termite mounds also go through extraordinary changes. Rain stimulates mushrooms to grow through the walls of the mound and burst out into the open air. These are the fruiting bodies of the fungus. Their sole purpose is to release spores that will become the next fungus generation. Although many kinds of termite farm fungi, genetic studies show they are all descended from one species that lived in Africa 30 million years ago. At that time, tropical rainforests dominated this continent. These termites have replicated rainforest conditions for their fungus in the middle of a scorching desert. Inside the nest, the temperature is a constant 27 degrees. The humidity, 100%. Ideal conditions for the fungus. Neither termites nor fungi can survive without each other. There's one more twist to this remarkable tale. These are baboons, unusual desert-dwelling monkeys. Called chacma baboons, they're on a mushroom hunting expedition. These monkeys live in one of the most arid environments of any primate. They have adapted to consume whatever is available in the desert, getting much of their moisture from food. Mushrooms are a favorite, both nutritious and a good source of water. Tiny termites don't just provide for themselves and their fungus. They're even growing valuable food for large desert mammals. During the short period of rain, the dried-up river briefly flows again, For the desert elephants, it's a rare opportunity to drink as much fresh water as they want. The old cow with a twisted tusk, who risked her life climbing the mountain, has survived. Beside her, the baby. It is just 2 weeks old. Desert elephants reproduce much slower than their bush-dwelling sisters do. It's very rare to see a baby elephant in the Namib. Despite the plentiful supply of water, the herd leaves the river. The never-ending search for food continues for these nomadic wanderers. The baby instinctively follows along behind its mother, and the whole herd slows down to allow mother and calf to keep up. For the baby, the search for food is arduous and dangerous, but it's taking its first essential steps as a desert elephant. The arid Namib. Oldest desert in the world. Created and maintained by cold ocean currents. Yet in one of the driest parts of the world, an amazing number of animals and plants eke out a successful living. Some iconic, some rarely seen. The harsh climate has produced incredible mutations and ingenious adaptations, creating a world of hardy mutants battling it out for survival. But if it wasn't for one of the tiniest desert dwellers, the Namib would truly become a barren land.